Hello, friends. We here for a new show reaction. So we are going to be reacting to Game of Thrones. But to begin with, some of my friends who was really into the show was telling me check out two videos that kinda is like a precursor to the Game of Thrones. So this is gonna help you with the characters and how they interact. Just a big background because there's gonna be a lot of characters and a lot of plots happening at the same time from different areas. So it can be very confusing. So just to save you some time, check out like this video. So this is gonna cover Robert's rebellion and the Battle of the Trident. So I'm kind of interested to see what we get here. Game of Thrones is people say it's a goated show, right? It's like up there, top three all time. I did hear that the later seasons was kinda not up to par, but at least the first four was really like it doesn't get better than that. So interested to see how that plays out. But for now, we'll check out this breakdown.
It is the year 262 after Aegon's conquest, 35 years prior to the events that take place at the start of Game of Thrones.
Okay, so this happens 35 years before Game of Thrones. Interesting. Interesting. That's a big time skip
Aerys
though.
Targaryen, the second of his name, ascends to the Iron Throne in King's Landing. During the first years of his reign, the Seven Kingdoms were thriving, and the ambitious young king strived to maintain prosperity.
Okay, so I guess the big names are like important. So he's in King's Landing, and then we have like High Garden here, Lannisport, Casterly Rock. These are, I guess, some small villages, right? And we have Harrenhal, Riverrun, Gulltown, the Eyrie, Storm's End. What's this? Is that big? Maybe not. Maybe not big.
The majority of the old administration was replaced with fresh faces. Shortly, Aerys befriended a young knight, Sir Tywin Lannister, heir of Casterly Rock.
Okay, so Tywin Lannister is from Casterly Rock, the heir. Okay.
Being impressed by the Lannisters' administrative prowess and ruthlessness, he soon brought Tywin to the royal court and appointed him as the Hand of the King.
Hand of
It was
the
a
King.
smart move, as the new hand perfectly complemented the king's shortcomings, whose desire was to be the greatest ruler the Seven Kingdoms had ever seen. While Aerys boasted about his grandiose plans of building a new wall in the north, or a shiny marble city on the other bank of the Blackwater, it was Tywin who painstakingly worked to ensure that the kingdoms would actually thrive.
Oh.
Years passed, and it was slowly becoming obvious that the realm's prosperity was in fact solely due to Tywin's merit, though he gained little love for his service, as he was stern, insensitive, and brutally effective. Aerys had quickly
Ungrateful bastards.
grown jealous of his hand, and their relationship, which was never easy, complicated even more. The king's mental health degenerated over the years after multiple miscarriages and stillborns by his sister wife Rhaella and the Duscan Dale.
Did he say his sister wife? So inbreeding is common in this world.
Mutiny, where Aerys was captured by the mutineers and imprisoned for half a year.
Oh.
Although Lord Tywin and Sir Barristan Selmy managed to free him, from then on, the king feared for his life and didn't leave the Red Keep in King's Landing at all. His suspicious nature gradually plunged into paranoia, and Aerys slowly descended.
Okay, so he got captured by one of the small houses, and then that made him paranoid, basically.
Into madness. He soon started to thwart Tywin's actions as a hand and belittle his achievements. But even after the death of his beloved wife, Tywin stood firmly at the king's side.
Wow.
Yet things started to change in 281 AC, when King Aerys appointed Tywin's son and heir, 15-year-old Jaime Lannister,
So Jaime Lannister, son of Tywin.
as the youngest ever member of the King's Guard. On the surface, it was a great honor for House Lannister. Yet with this cunning move, Aerys stripped his
I wonder how significant these names are gonna be. Gerald Hightower, that's the Lord Commander, and then these are the other guards, I guess. Lewin Martell, Barristan Selmy, Oswell Went, Arthur Daney, Jonothor Darry, and Jaime Lannister. Okay.
his hand of an heir. Lord Tywin, whose ambition was to restore the might of his house, was clearly enraged upon the king's decision and soon returned to Casterly Rock, giving up his position as royal counselor. It seemed that the Targaryen king finally accomplished his goal. Later that year, a great tournament in Harrenhal took place as part of the festivities celebrating the advent of spring, even though winter hit back twice as hard later that year. Anyway, many of the great lords gathered at Harrenhal, and even King Aerys himself attended the tourney. The day belonged to Prince Rhaegar Targaryen, heir to the crown, who managed to unhorse and defeat several renowned opponents.
Okay, so this is the heir to the crown. So this is the son of Aerys, was it? The Targaryen, right? This is the son of the king. So he beat Jon Royce, Brandon Stark, Arthur Dane. Oh, these two are in the King's Guard, right? Barristan Selmy. These two are new names.
Yet after the last bout was won, the champion was allowed to choose a new queen of love and beauty. Surprisingly enough, Rhaegar rode past his own wife, Elia of Dawn, and bestowed the crown of blue roses to Lyanna Stark.
Interesting. Oh my god, the politics. This guy didn't give it to his wife. He's like, fuck that bitch. We'll give it to Lyanna Stark,
daughter of the Lord of Winterfell. It was a scandalous act, not only because the crown prince was married, but also because Lyanna was already betrothed to Lord Robert Baratheon.
Robert Baratheon, Lord of Storm's End. So that's probably one of the bigger houses that we saw there.
Sometime later, Rhaegar and Lyanna met again near Harrenhal, and soon...
Let's check it out. Where is Storm's End here? I don't see it. Lannisport, Pike, Seaguard. I don't see Storm's End. Interesting.
Soon both disappeared, using the help of the King's Guard. While Rhaegar's behavior during the Harrenhal tournament seemed to be forgiven, the supposed abduction of Lyanna Stark was just too much to bear for her brother, Brandon Stark, heir of Winterfell.
Heir of Winterfell.
Brandon, together with his retinue.
So Winterfell is somewhere up there, right?
Was on his way to wed Catelyn Tully in Riverrun. But as soon as he heard the news about his sister, he picked his best men and rode straight to the capital. He reached the gates of the Red Keep and, being unaware that the prince was not there, shouted for Rhaegar to come out, demanding his life.
Damn, he demanded the life of the prince. Damn, that's gangster.
Aerys had his company arrested for supposedly plotting the murder of the crown prince,
well,
and summoned his father to answer the alleged crimes. Lord Rickard Stark soon arrived in King's Landing with 200 men and demanded a trial by combat. The king...
Trial by combat? What the hell is that?
Granted his request, but chose fire as the royal champion.
My champion is fire.
While the Lord of Winterfell was burnt alive, Brandon strangled himself to death, trying to rescue his suffering father.
Oh wow.
Not a single Northman who accompanied Brandon and Rickard to the capital would ever see the North again. Afterwards, King Aerys demanded Jon Arryn, Lord of the Vale, to send him the heads of Robert Baratheon and Eddard Stark.
Interesting. So he told Jon Arryn, Lord of the Eyrie. So this is the Eyrie. So this is a big place, a big house, right?
Who were at the Eyrie and who were most likely
Lord of Winterfell. So okay. So this guy is related to the Starks that came there, and Robert Baratheon was the one who was gonna marry another Stark, was it?
likely eager to avenge the death of the Northmen. But Lord Arryn refused to do so, and instead raised his banner
Ours is the fury. Ooh. Okay, okay.
in an open rebellion. The ravens were sent to all houses across the Seven Kingdoms to gain the much-needed support to oppose the Mad King. But other than the north and the majority of the Vale, only some parts of the Stormlands and Riverlands agreed to join the cause. The rest...
Oh, okay. So this is Storm's End. The Stormlands, the Riverlands, the Vale, the North. Dude, the North is huge, right?
either stood by the king's side or, like Tywin Lannister, remained neutral. Ned Stark...
And then we have the Iron Islands. This is Pike. Interesting. I like they have some sigils here, right? We have like a buck. I don't know what the hell this is. I don't know what's that. Is that a wolf? This is like a bird. I don't know what this is. What is this? I don't know what that is.
now Lord of Winterfell,
And I think that's a
after the death
fish.
of
Is
his
that a
father
fish?
and older
River
brother,
run. I
travelled
mean, it's a
back
river.
home to gather an army in the north. Robert Baratheon did the same and took a ship south. Meanwhile, Jon Arryn successfully retook the city of Gulltown, occupied by loyalist forces, and began to deal with those who failed to support the Overlord of the Vale. In the south, Robert encountered similar problems as Jon had, as some of the houses of the Stormlands neglected to gather forces to support their lord, and instead took the king's side. Yet
Damn.
Robert swiftly defeated his opponents in 3 separate encounters near Summerhall, and even managed to sway some of them to join the rebels' side.
Alright.
The next moons were marked by war preparations, and in late 282 AC, Robert finally departed Storm's End with his troops, marching to unite with the rebel forces in the north. Of course, those who remained loyal to the crown didn't just sit and wait. Fierce Lord Randall Tarley of Harrenhal, leading the vanguard of the...
So Harrenhal. This is I guess this is within the High Garden region, right? That's like their forces.
combined forces from the Reach, ambushed Robert's troops near Ashford and dealt a considerable blow. The main force of the Loyalists, commanded by Lord Tyrell, eventually joined Tarley's vanguard. But
Okay, Mace Tyrell, Lord of High Garden. Okay, so this is like a counterpart to Robert. Mace.
Robert regrouped and managed to retreat north, despite the losses.
Damn, this is a big force if that's what these boxes represent, right? He has like 2x.5 versus essentially like 5.
The Lord of Highgarden eventually gave up the pursuit and decided to march east and soon besiege Storm's End, the garrison of which was commanded by Robert's younger brother, Stannis Baratheon.
Okay.
That wasn't the end of Robert's problems, though. The royal contingent under Lord John Connington departed the capital, hoping to intercept Robert's army.
John Connington, Lord of Griffin's Roost. So he came from like somewhere near King's Landing.
Connington traced them all the way to Stony Sept, where Robert tried to conceal himself using the help of the townsmen. Upon their arrival, the royal soldiers began to search for the rebels, but without much luck. 2 days later, the united rebel forces under Lord Stark and Tully arrived from the north and engaged
Hoster Tully, Lord of Riverrun. Okay, so this is Riverrun, so interesting.
the royal troops. Fierce fighting began amid the town's streets and alleys. It is said that Robert Baratheon stepped out of a brothel to join the battle and dueled Lord Connington, almost killing him. True or not, Connington saw that his men were losing to the larger rebel force and commanded a general retreat. This was the first major victory for the rebels' side in the war. When King Aerys heard that the royal troops had lost, he impulsively stripped Lord Connington of his lands and titles and had him exiled. He also began to realize that the
Wow, he fucking betrayed his soldier, man. He exiled him for losing. The guy tried,
rebellion
man.
was far more serious than he had thought and could actually threaten his position. The Mad King ordered his alchemists to cache wildfire pots in various parts of King's Landing in order to burn down the entire city in case of defeat. But the war
Wow.
wasn't lost yet, and Prince Rhaegar was summoned back to the capital, where he assembled another, bigger army. Using strong contingents from the Reach and Dawn, and with help of
Dorn. We never heard of Dorn. Okay, so Dorn is like another big player here, right? And the Reach. The Reach is, I guess, mainly High Garden and some allies here.
loyal houses from all over the kingdom, he managed to gather some 40,000 men willing to
Damn, look at all those boxes. Is that 40,000?
defend the Iron Throne. Eventually, the royal army marched out of King's Landing in the middle of summer, heading north to quell the rebellion once and for all. The rebel force consisted predominantly of soldiers of the north, Vale, Stormlands, and Riverlands, though some of the houses of the latter three still supported King Aerys. The amassed rebel army counted to around 35,000 men in total.
Okay.
But what the
So it's pretty close, right? 40,000 versus 35,000. This is a combination of the four houses. Damn. And I guess Robert had the least amount of troops and Stark had the most because, you know, the north is kind of huge. Interesting. I mean, it's far from home, right? That's the advantage if you're closer to home.
rebel force lacked in numbers, it gained in battle experience and determination.
Damn.
When the scouts reported that Rhaegar's army was about to cross the Trident River, the rebels commanded by Robert marched to engage them. Battle ensued, just as the majority of the royal forces crossed the wide ford and were struck by the rebels. Tight combat raged for hours, as neither side was able to dominate the enemy. Even the successful charge led by the Valemen, which smashed the advancing right flank of Leowen Martell and killed the Dornish prince, couldn't turn the tide of the battle. Finally, somewhere in the
That's one of the... I don't know. I
center,
don't remember.
Robert Baratheon reached the position of Crown Prince Rhaegar Targaryen and challenged him to single combat. Although Rhaegar managed to injure his opponent, Robert crushed the prince's chest with his warhammer in a killing blow. Rhaegar's armor shattered, and rubies encrusting his breastplate scattered all around. The death of the Crown Prince had an immediate effect on his troops.
Yeah,
In a matter
they
of
lost
minutes,
morale real
all
quick.
of the royal forces were in full rout, and the battle was essentially over. The rebels now had an unobstructed route straight to the capital. Upon hearing who won the Battle of the Trident, Lord Tywin Lannister joined the war, gathering his army in Casterly Rock and rushed east to capture King's Landing. Robert hadn't
What?
recovered from his injury yet and requested his friend Lord Ned Stark to lead the vanguard of the rebel army to reach the capital before Tywin. But it was the Lannisters who arrived first, and Tywin tricked the king, convincing him to open the city gates.
Open the gates, my old friend. Let them in.
While the capital was sacked and looted, with no regard for the life of its people,
Damn.
the remaining loyalist troops formed the last stand at the Red Keep. A few days prior to Tywin's arrival, King Aerys sent his wife and second son Viserys to the safety
Rhaella and Viserys Targaryen.
of Dragonstone Stronghold, yet refused to allow Rhaegar's wife Aelia Martell and her children to leave with them,
Why?
suspecting that Prince Leowen Martell betrayed Rhaegar at the Trident. Seeing that all hope was lost, Aerys ordered his master of pyromancers to ignite the wildfire and burn the city to
Damn, he wanted to, like, Make a
Yet the lone member of
bloodbath.
the King's Guard guarding the king at the Red Keep, Sir Jaime Lannister, realized what Aerys wanted to do and rushed to save the city by killing the head pyromancer.
Damn,
Being
Jaime.
afraid that
Jaime's a hero, man.
the Mad King
He
could
saved
order
King's
another
Landing, at
alchemist
least.
to ignite the wildfire, Jaime made an uneasy decision, broke his oath, and slew the Mad King, avoiding
Oh,
such catastrophe. Lord
Kingslayer.
Tywin had to quickly find a way to prove his loyalty to the victors. So he ordered his bannermen, Gregor Clegane and Amory Lorch, to murder Princess Elia Martell and her
What?
children. While Robert was crowned in King's Landing, being the only head of a great house truly wanting the Iron Throne,
Okay, so Robert became king. Interesting. So I guess that's why it's called Robert's Rebellion.
Ned Stark rode south, lifting the siege of Storm's End and reaching the Tower of Joy, where he found his sister Lyanna, dying with a child in her hands.
Oh, that's Rhaegar's child. Was it Rhaegar or Rhaegar?
The Mad King was dead, and the war was over. After almost 300 years of undisputed rule, House Targaryen no longer held the Iron Throne, and its last vestiges sought refuge in the east. The love affair between Rhaegar and Lyanna triggered the conflict that ultimately cost them their very lives, and set in motion the most fundamental shift of power in the Seven Kingdoms since Aegon's conquest, and setting the stage for the Game of Thrones.
Okay, so I guess that's it. Looking at the map here, we have the Iron Islands, Three Sisters. I'm just looking at the sea, the Narrow Sea. You know, what is this? Bravos, Lorath, Pentos, Mir, Tyrosh. We got Storm's End, so this is where Robert is from, if I remember correctly. And then there was something here in the bottom, right? I forgot. Sea of Dawn, Old Town High Garden. Okay, okay.
Okay, you can edit that out.
When Rhaegar's wife brought forth the girl Rhaenys, the entire royal court celebrated by the king and his refused to even touch his granddaughter. She smelled Dornish. Oh my god, it's one of those. Okay, okay. This was cool. This was cool. Like, I don't know how much of that I'm gonna remember, but hopefully I got some background. So they had like this Aerys, the Targaryen king. He got crazy, right? He got jealous of his hand. I forgot the name. His hand, and he eventually got captured, and when he was rescued he got paranoid, and you know, he kind of screwed certain people over, and the Starks went in because their sister was like missing, and he just burned them, and that's what kind of started the war basically. Interesting enough. I forgot the name of the next video we're gonna be checking out, but you know, if you just subscribe and you know check out the future videos, we'll eventually upload that. So we have one more video before we start like episode 1 of Game of Thrones. If you guys like the content, like, comment, subscribe. If you want to support your boy even more, links to Patreon down in the description. I'll see you guys on the next one. Cheers.